Welcome to The Pit, a brand new roguelite ROM hack that is as insanely fun as it is blisteringly difficult. The goal is to make it through 100 floors of a randomized dungeon filled with progressively stronger trainers wielding Pokemon from all 9 generations. Before being ruthlessly tossed into the titular pit, I have to choose 3 Pokemon from a randomized selection of 9. Not the greatest choices in the world, if I'm being honest. I decide to grab Lopunny for immediate power, Cofagrigus for double immunity, and Grookey for vibes. But I mean, what's the alternative? Beldum, you might argue? Well, let's break down the basic gameplay loop of The Pit to explain why I opted for monkey over machine. On every floor of the pit, I'll face 1 to 4 trainers with 3 Pokemon at the level corresponding to that floor. Battles can be in single or double format, all Pokemon have their level up movesets, and trainers can have any Pokemon at any moment, perhaps perfectly exemplified by the very first trainer on the very first floor, who has a Caterpie and an Archeops. By clearing the trainers on each floor, I get a few random items and access to the next level. A rest stop awaits at every 5th floor, and a new encounter awaits at every 25th floor, but in between those stops, it's up to me and the various assortment of items I pick up throughout my journey to keep all of my Pokemon happy and healthy. So the number 1 priority when trying to survive The Pit is resource management. Health points, and to a lesser extent power points, are vital, meaning a move like Takedown that causes recoil is terrible for this challenge, and ultimately why I chose not to take Beldum. Now, at the time, I was operating on the assumption that Beldum only learned Takedown until level 20 when they evolve, because I'm a 90s baby, and that was the case way back in Generation 3, but it turns out that at some point in the last 20 years, Takedown was changed to Tackle. My bad, but Grookey, soon to be dubbed King Pooh, does have one thing going for him that Beldum could never, and that is the ability Grassy Surge, which crucially grants some recovery to my team at the end of every turn. Now, this also grants my enemies some recovery, so it's a bit of a double-edged sword, but you'll soon see why it ends up being a clear net positive. We end up coasting through the first few floors without too many problems, and by without too many problems, I of course mean facing Pokemon like Mega Charizard Y on floor 2. Randomizers are gonna randomize. The good news is that at such low levels, even ultra powerful Pokemon can't do all that much damage, but as we plunge deeper and deeper into The Pit, things will get harder and harder.
That's what she said!
Plus, danger can take rather unexpected forms. For example, Hamilton on floor 3, who burns Cofagrigus with an Ember. Reasonably not wanting to take consistent chip damage, I decide to use a recently acquired Burn Heal, only to immediately get burned by a second Ember. We are able to beat the Growlithe, as well as Fisherman Toby's 2 other Pokemon, mostly due to the fact that his Passimian doesn't have a way to hit the Ghost-type Cofagrigus. And since he's the only trainer on floor 3, we've now made it to floor 4. Just 1 more trainer stands between me and the first rest stop, so in a bit of a gamble, I decide to take on Crush Girl Gwen without healing any of my Pokemon. Besides, what's the worst that she could possibly have?
Oh, give me a break.
We're gonna wipe!
Okay.
Come on, buddy!
Oh, we're faster.
Come on, buddy! Grookey? Grookey crit? Thunder Punch?
That doesn't make any sense.
Grookey with the clutch! Grookey's so clutch!
That was a waste of a potion.
Grookey kills the Medicham, the Mega Medicham. Haha, could Beldum have done that? I mean, maybe they could have, but whatever. We've officially made it to the first rest stop. And here I learned that rest stops also have a Mart attendant who sells TMs, evolution items, Megastones, and more. For now though, I decide to hold on to the limited money I have in my possession. But as we leave the rest stop, my mind swirls with the possible upgrades I'll soon be able to afford. That is, if we even make it to the next rest stop. Each trainer has the potential to reveal a run-ending Pokemon, especially as the levels of our enemy's Pokemon get closer to that of my party. The Soul Trainer on floor 6, with a Baxcalibur, Galarian Slowbro, and Charcadet, manages to knock out Lopunny and bring Cofagrigus to a single hit point away from death, forcing me to burn some valuable resources to ensure I can survive until the next rest stop. Fortunately, the following few trainers aren't too much trouble. By the way, you may have noticed that I'm playing as a Flygon. One of the coolest aspects of the Pit is the endless ways that you can customize the game, whether that's aesthetically by choosing your preferred avatar, or by completely changing how the game is played with a range of difficulty and randomizer settings. I chose the hard mode presets, which make the game about as hard as it can be without randomizing the movesets and stats and stuff, but if you wanted something closer to a Kaizo Ironmon playthrough, you could do that too. Or you could just go to the nearest casino. And if you want something a bit more casual, there are obviously the options for that too. My next major obstacle comes on the 9th floor against the first of 3 trainers, Pokemaniac Steve. Though his Foongus does little more than paralyze Cofagrigus, it's his Cantonian Arcanine that's the scariest. Most Pokemon have fairly pitiful moves at these lower levels, but Stone evolutions are often an exception, and Arcanine happens to know Flamethrower. We can use Disable to block the move for a few turns, but even then he's still got Flame Wheel, and the result is that Cofagrigus faints, along with Lopunny taking a sizable chunk of damage before we get the KO. But then we're given what can only be described as a lifeline. Pokemaniac Steve sends out a Spewpaw, the middle stage evolution of Scatterbug that only knows Protect and Harden. Spewpaw cannot deal damage to my Pokemon, and the result is that I can switch to King Poo to activate his Grassy Surge and then systematically swap between my 2 Pokemon to get them all the way back to full HP. Spewpaw basically functions as a free heal here, minus the minimal damage we take from Struggle once she eventually runs out of PP. But with that, we've saved some very precious resources, and though I do still have to use a revive to heal Cofagrigus, we successfully beat the remaining 2 trainers on floor 9 and make it to the rest stop on floor 10, where another surprise awaits. Turns out that in every other rest stop, there's a woman who is willing to teach your Pokemon level up moves for free, as well as egg or tutor moves for a pricey fee. That grants Shadow Claw to Cofagrigus and Mirror Coat to Lopunny, whose level up moveset turns out to be pretty terrible. Our Lopunny also has Klutz, so he can't even hold an item, which is making him far less useful than I had expected. Nevertheless, I decide to purchase the TM for Drain Punch and teach it to Lopunny, granting him some much needed coverage and a way to consistently gain back some HP. The next few floors offer refreshingly few challenges, save for the occasional legendary or paradox Pokemon. No big deal. By the time we've made it halfway to the next rest stop, King Poo has evolved into Thwackey. Now, Iron Valiant did manage to put Lop and Kof to sleep with hypnosis, so I decided to use a full heal to wake up the former before fighting the last trainer on floor 13, who hopefully has a team full of babies.
Oh, shit. Well, you hate to see that. You really hate to see that. The bad news is that Diancie knows Diamond Storm. I think we're gonna lose here.
Oh, pass Flygon, so dramatic. Yes, Diancie does kill both Lopunny and Cofagrigus, and Pancham comes literally one arm thrust hit away from causing a full-blown wipe, but with King Poo's last turn alive, I use a precious revival herb to bring Koff back from the dead, and by that point, Diancie is almost out of Diamond Storm PP, which is the only attack they have that hits our twice undead ghost. Pancham can't hit us either, and after we take him out, Breeder Jess reveals her 3rd Pokemon, who can hit us with Confusion, but also just dies to a single Shadow Claw. So with that, we've cleared floor 13, though I do decide to revive both of my fainted Pokemon so that I have a full team in force for floor 14's 2 trainers. And it's a good thing I do, because Team Magma Clara is a dirty little cheater.
Powder Snow, not the funnest, because Pookie's, yeah. Oh! Hey! Bibbidi bobbidi! We not? This is fun.
Despite a triple freeze, we somehow managed to defeat Ice-Q and make it to the next rest stop, where I do nothing but heal before continuing on what is clearly a doomed endeavor. But we're having fun. Floors 16 and 17 have mostly low-powered opponents, which is fortunate given the relatively high number of trainers on both floors. On floor 18, I run into an Abra, one of a handful of overworld Pokemon that can pop up on any given floor. This one offers me the chance to skip a few floors, no questions asked. At first glance, that seems like an incredible opportunity, but upon further reflection, and point-blank statements from the creators of the ROM hack themselves, this is a trap. Skipping floors means less items, less money, and critically less XP, which is already massively stunted in hard mode. So instead of taking the Fox, Cat, Man Things offer, we tackle the Soul Trainer on the floor, who proves to be easy peasy lemon squeezy, and then head out. Floor 19 is also relatively underpowered, especially if you ignore Workup Darmanitan and Flare Blitz Talonflame. At the next rest stop, I again opt to do nothing but heal. We've got a sizable chunk of change for sure, but I need just a little bit more to buy what I have my eyes on, and the next set of 5 floors should help me get it. The Soul Trainer on floor 21 has a Pheasantipity, a Pokemon that can't do much damage, but loves to spread poison, which is an extremely frustrating status condition in a challenge where every hit point is critical to success. With 3 floors left to go, I gotta burn some healing items. Floor 22 has just one easy trainer, but then on floor 23, I get my first floor with a full 4 trainers. And some of these guys are packing serious heat. Like Gentleman Derek, who has a Workup Verizon that Coffee manages to take out with a combination of Will-O-Wisp and Hex, though not without first losing about 50% of his HP. That's not great, but as long as Derek has some easier Pokemon in the back, this should be fine.
Oh my god!
Well, with a max potion, Kofagrigus is able to take out Derek's second legendary grass-type deer, and since his third Pokemon is a Lunatone, we successfully win the battle without any deaths, though we are now rapidly burning through our limited supply of healing items, and that remains the case as we face off against the next trainer, Ninja Boy Chase, who has a devastatingly difficult to break through Wo Chien. By the time the battle's over, we need to heal both Flop and Coffee. The final trainer on this interminable floor does have a Mega Aggron, but at just the expense of King Poo's life, we do make it through. And with the floor after a 4-man gauntlet always guaranteed to have just one trainer, in order to conserve some healing items, I have Flop and Coffee take on Hiker Seth without the support of grassy terrain. We've now made it to floor 25, but where we'd normally expect a rest stop, I instead find a pit boss. These baddies appear every 25 floors and are guaranteed to have teams filled with fully evolved Pokemon, including a non-randomized ace. My first pit boss is Winona, and with my team getting fully healed for free, there's nothing to do but see what the Hoennian gym leader has in store for us. She leads with Mabostiff, who would be easy fodder for Flop's Drain Punches were it not for his Intimidate dropping our attack. He's also got Home Claws to boost his attack, and Winona has 2 full restores, meaning that even with the Drain Punch recovery, we do not win that matchup. But at least King Poo is able to come in and get the revenge kill with a— nope, guess not. This is going quite poorly, and with a switch to Unpheasant, our second Razor Leaf doesn't get a KO either. King Poo's no match for the giant bird, and Coffee can't actually do any damage to them, especially after a taunt that blocks our Will-O-Wisp. So I have to heal up Flop, who comes in a few turns later. He's still not doing much damage, but Unpheasant does hit us with a swagger, meaning that we will do a lot more damage if we get a little lucky with Confusion, which we do not. Flop's named Flop for a reason. At the very least, King Poo can now kill Unpheasant with a knockoff, but not before taking another chunk of damage from a quick attack. He then also KOs Mabostiff, leaving Winona with her final Pokemon, Altaria. I probably should have seen that coming. Oh, and it's a Mega Altaria. I probably also should have seen that coming. Coffee is now my last line of defense, and my only hope is to hit this thing with a Will-O-Wisp. But after he sets up a Dragon Dance, we of course miss, which seems to all but ensure the wipe. Dragon Claw now does massive damage to Coffee, and though we do connect with Will-O-Wisp number 2, it's likely just too little too late. In terms of healing items, I've got a potion, a citrus berry, and that's it. Earthquake hits for 16 damage before we retaliate with a boosted Hex. It's a ton of damage, but not enough. Or is it?
We were so close. Do I have anything that I can do here? All right, what I need to happen is I need it to go Dragon Claw to trigger our Rocky Helmet. Euler. I'm gonna use Citrus. Dragon Claw. Oh my god, don't crit. Oh my god.
By the absolute slimmest of margins, we've defeated Pit Boss Winona, and the reward is our choice of a brand new teammate. My options are Weedle, Dragonair, Doduo, Rookidee, Hippopotas, Octillery, Piplup, Huntail, or Diggersby. Frankly, these are all pretty terrible options. My team desperately needs some power, so even though Piplup, Hippopotas, Dragonair, and Rookidee will all eventually become fantastic Pokemon, they're effectively useless to me for the next 10 to 15 floors. I decide that Doduo and Weedle are also both immediate no's, so that leaves the 3 fully evolved Pokemon, all of which are frustratingly slow, which is something that is not exactly ideal when you're trying to conserve HP from battle to battle. In a best case scenario, Diggersby is probably our strongest option, but there's no guarantee that we'll get huge power as our ability, so the Big Bunny could end up being a total dud. Of the 2 pure water types, I end up going with Octillery. He has the ability Moody, which could result in some nifty sweeps, and he does get a ton of coverage options that my team could really benefit from. The only downside is that he's an Octillery. It's a terrible Pokemon, but hey, maybe he'll surprise me. Before continuing our descent into the pit, I also get access to another rest stop, and here it's time to finally grab the run-saving Lopunite for a whopping $20,000. That is extremely pricey and requires selling many of my hard-sought items, but Mega Lopunny is incredibly powerful and well worth it. Enemy trainers will now have 4 Pokemon, so the added power that our Mega Form gives us, not to mention Stab on Double Kick and Drain Punch, is fantastic. The single trainer on floor 26 is pretty easy, though his Parasect does manage to poison both Flop and Coffee. Not the best, especially with our healing item cache at an all-time low. After that, the first of 2 trainers on floor 27 marks Fish the Octillery's debut, and boy does he completely shit the bed. It's not entirely his fault. Vikavolt isn't exactly the best matchup for our Unagi, but Rock Blast does do a catastrophically pitiful amount of damage, and then Fish isn't exactly helping out against the Walking Wake that comes in next. Maybe Fish will have better luck against the second trainer on floor 27.
Yeah.
You know, if you told me that in a fight against a Landorus and a Grubbin, it would be the Grubbin that was more of a problem, I'm not sure I'd believe ya. And yet, here we are. By the time we've finally defeated the Alolan powerhouse, Flop is my only teammate left alive, there's still 2 more floors before the next rest stop, and I am fresh out of revives. But I do have one trick up my sleeve. See, rare candies can technically be used as revives, since by using one, a Pokemon that is fainted will gain at least 1 hit point and rise from the dead. So I decide to use my Soul Rare Candy on King Pooh. He's not necessarily better than Coffee, but he can support Flop with grassy terrain, and he needs to be alive to get XP, which is especially important since he's just 4 levels away from evolving. Unfortunately, the first trainer on floor 28 is a double battle who has a Dodrio and a Mega Manectric, which are bad news for my aspiring gorilla. He barely lives the double up from Pluck and Bite, and though he can get the KO on Dodrio, it's not long until King Pooh is once again dead. With Drain Punch, Flop's able to win the 2v1 against Komodo and Manectric, albeit barely, though he still needs to beat 2 trainers on floor 29 before we get to the next rest stop. And Paraso Lady Lila's very first Pokemon is a Delphox.
Well, that's not helpful. Flop, I need you to flinch. I need you to flinch here, okay, buddy? I need you to flinch. Yes! Yes! Okay, it's not over. It's not over. We're in it. We're in it. Show me Snorlax. This low-key is not that good. That's not great. Flinch! Okay, that is terrifying, but it's fine. Why the f is this had no Moonblast? What are we doing? That's neutral. What do you got? What do you got for me? What do you got for me? Slam, knockoff, assurance, rollout. Can't do shit. Well, slam is still gonna do a lot of damage if it hits, but come on. Crit? 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 Let's go! Okay, come on. You can miss those, Donphan. You can miss those. You can dodge those, Donphan. 33. Okay, we're moving. Let's go! Okay. I think we outspeed this. This fucking dies. Woo! Okay! Oh yeah, there's another trainer.
If it wasn't already clear, this attempt is absolutely running on fumes. There is basically zero chance that we'll make it through all 100 floors of the pit. Honestly, that's long been out of the question, and instead I have my sights set on the, at the time, hard mode world record of floor 31, owned by friend of the pod Wacko. So we're not trying to summit Everest here, we just need to make it past Camp 1 before peacefully passing away from metaphorical hypothermia. With a bit of luck, Flop still might be able to get us that record, but there's one more trainer before floor 30's rest stop, and based on the lead, I do not love my odds. While Ekans and Gogoat are not particularly powerful, the former has Intimidate to instantly drop Flop's attack. She also knows Glare for paralysis, so I decide to target her down first. This is gonna be ugly, but I've got faith in Flop.
I'm so... Bunnelby is shit. We Drain Punch that. Wait. I think they threw. Yeah, that's nothing. What is this? Oh, it's Rocky Helmet. Nothing I can do about it. Oh, we got Synthesis. That's okay. Because we get back HP. Do I lose this because of Synthesis? I can't flinch with Headbutt. I'm slower. That's 2 Synthesis. Oh, it's so ugly, bro. It's gonna be so tight. Just crit, Flop. I got 2 more Synthesis. Wait, yeah, wait. I can quick attack. Lol. Let's go. The run lives. And we got a revive. And we got a poison barb. I don't know why I got excited about that. That's ass.
Well, by at last making it to the rest stop on floor 30, I'm able to fully heal my Pokemon and prepare for what may very well be the last stretch of attempt 1. Flop has been a massive carry over the last stretch of floors, and he'll need to continue to be. But I do purchase the Protect TM and teach that to Fish. This will let him get off a Moody boost without taking damage, and can also be used for survivability in the significantly more challenging double battles. So with that, we leave the comforts of the rest stop and arrive at floor 31. 3 trainers stand between us and the world record. The first is Arena Tycoon Wendy. Her Sneasler is walled by Coffee, who also takes out her Pawmot, though it is at the expense of a paralysis. Then King Pooh single-handedly takes care of Raichu and Chikorita for a relatively easy dub. Next up, a double battle against Triathlete Penny, which continues Fish's rotten streak of facing off against electric types. This fight is a bit of a disaster, filled with some pretty bad misplays on my part. Fearing Guts Heracross, I'm hesitant to burn him with Will-O-Wisp until it's revealed via Mummy that he has Swarm. Little did I know that there's actually a way to check an enemy's move, ability, and held item in-game via an intentionally included debug menu, but alas. The consequence of all this is that both King Pooh and, surprise surprise, Fish do faint before the end of the battle, so I decide to use my last remaining revive on King Pooh. Fish is unquestionably a lost cause. The final trainer on floor 31 is Biker J, and the guy is beyond underwhelming. Hisuian Voltorb falls to a double up from flopping King Pooh. Reboot gets one-shot by a critical hit headbutt. Drain Punch one-shots Galarian Meowth. And then with the help of a Will-O-Wisp to make him far less threatening, Marowak falls last to a few more Drain Punches. So with that, we've officially made it to floor 32 and achieved a brand new world record. It's the deepest any soul has ventured into the pit. And with such a monumental barrier broken, the next step was clear: to see how much further we could push this thing. Our run may be held together by Elmer's glue and duct tape, but damn it if I wasn't gonna squeeze out as many floors as I possibly could. Floor 32 has but one trainer, Ranger Jared. His Appleton is the scariest of his two leads, since King Pooh inadvertently boosts the power of her Apple Acid with grassy terrain, which also drops our special defense. After dealing some damage with a Drain Punch on turn 1, I can switch to King Pooh and use Disable with Coffee to stop another Apple Acid, though the result is that King Pooh does go down to Koffing's powerful Poison-type attacks. But his sacrifice won't be in vain. Flop can now take the KO on Appleton with another Drain Punch, and Coffee can actually one-shot Koffing with a Hex post Will-O-Wisp. So that brings out Oinkologne and Drillbur, who we easily beat without losing much health or PP. Our reward for the relatively easy floor is a disproportionately phenomenal one, a rare candy. This not only lets me revive King Pooh, but also brings him just 2 levels away from evolution. Our train wreck of a run still might have just a little more juice, but it better be some powerful juice because floor 33 has 3 more trainers.
I have a feeling 33 is where we come to die. The boy who lived, come to die. Or not. God, the plot armor is so thick. Better player equals rewarded. Huh!
You know, this isn't as dire of a matchup as it seems on the outset, since Xerneas doesn't actually have a fairy-type move. They do have nature power, which turns into energy balls, so by the time we take the KO with 3 flinchless headbutts, Flop is at just 37 HP, and then Durant is not exactly the world's best matchup either. I switch to Coffee, hoping for some chip with Rocky Helmet, getting a bit more than I bargained for thanks to a surprise life orb. Now that we're baiting Bite, I switch back to Flop, though Durant opts to use Dig for some reason. Very weird, but as a result, I need to switch back to Coffee. And then I again switch to Flop, as this time, Kevin does indeed go for a Bite. So with all that chip, Flop can now safely take the KO with Drain Punch. And then thankfully last is Clink, who gets O-Code and brings Flop back to nearly full HP. What a genuinely phenomenal move for this challenge. And it continues to pay massive dividends against Burglar Levi, who leads with a Regice. While Drain Punch doesn't get the KO, Regice merely sets up with a Curse, so a quick tap from Double Kick finishes the legend and brings in the mythical. Manaphy's got Supersonic, which they use after brunting a flinchless headbutt, so my only hope is to hit the slots. Hey, what do you know, this is like Kaizo Ironmon. Flop hits headbutt number 2 and takes a bit of damage from Bubble Beam. On the next turn though, he hurts himself in confusion and takes another chunk of damage from another Bubble Beam, meaning that one more turn of confusion and the run is over. But Flop snaps out to take the KO. Quilava gets us back even more HP with a combo of Drain Punch and Quick Attack, and then last for the petty criminal is Cincino, who once again gets us back to full HP. How on earth is this run still alive? The final trainer on floor 33 is Team Aqua Grant, easily confused with the many Team Aqua Grunts.
Okay. Good start, good start. Good start. Rose got Hydro Pump and Shell Smash, but that's okay, because we're going to flinch him. Wow, that did way less damage than I thought it would. So we're pretty lucky we flinched him. Flinch him again! Guys, it's too easy! That... Oh, I didn't Mega Evolve. That's why it didn't do damage. Chat, I was prepping for the Meloetta with Acrobatics, Psybeam, Teeter Dance, and Round. Freaking incredible. I haven't Mega'd, and I'm not gonna. It's all part of the plan. Big brain plays all around, baby.
You know, I might be the greatest to ever do it. Without burns from Lava Plume, we win the matchup against Torkoal, and then Team Aqua grants me an incredible opportunity. He sends out a Cascoon that only knows Harden. So, just like we did against the Spewpaw all the way back on floor 9, I can use switches between King Poo and Flop to get them both back to nearly full HP. It's a real shame that I just lost Coffee to that Meloetta, but what are you gonna do? With a bit of newfound life, our run soldiers on to floor 34. King Poo is now just a single level away from the boom, and I can feel the electricity in the air as we take on the first of just 2 trainers that stand between us and a much-needed rest stop. Camper Bryce is a double battle with a lead of Kadabra in Hippowdon. Megaflop's Headbutt one-shots Kadabra, but even in grassy terrain, our Razor Leaf does shockingly little damage to Hippowdon, who retaliates with a nasty takedown into King Poo. And as Crocolore takes the field, I fear that we're quickly approaching the end of our rope. I go for a flinch on Crocolore, foolishly hoping it'll save King Poo's life. But it doesn't. And worse still, by not doubling up on Hippowdon for the KO, she's free to rip a massive takedown into Flop. All of a sudden, completely out of nowhere, I'm in a ton of trouble. I've got no healing items, and Flop is totally on her own. I can use Drain Punch to kill Hippowdon and get a ton of HP back, but a Flamethrower, possibly Blaze boosted, brings Flop back down into the red. Bryce sends in Oshawott, so things could be worse, but he immediately fires off an Aqua Jet. I retaliate with a Drain Punch that barely doesn't KO, and then Crocolore rips another Flamethrower that burns. So with that, it's over. Our Drain Punch no longer kills Crocolore, and with one last Flamethrower, Flop falls, and our quest has come to an end. Targeting Oshawott at the end there instead of Crocolore was a throw, as was not doubling up to take the KO on Hippowdon earlier. Changing either of those 2 turns could have won us the battle, and then there was a decent chance that Flop could solo the last trainer before floor 35's rest stop. Those mistakes will surely haunt me, but so too will that final burn. Without it, we would have KO'd Crocolore and likely netted back enough HP to survive Oshawott's attack. But shoulda, woulda, coulda.
The Pit
is relentless, and like almost all difficulty hacks, it takes a heavy dose of skill and luck to succeed. So it's only fitting that what ultimately did me in was running out of both. This game is so much fun though, and I would highly suggest that you check it out for yourself. Links to where you can get more info are in the description down below. And who knows, maybe someday one of you will be able to beat my world record. Wait, somebody's already beaten it? They got to floor 84? Well, looks like I better dive right back in. We got a world record to reclaim. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Let me know if you want to see more
The Pit
content and what other ROM hacks you want to see me tackle in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Or don't, I don't know, but I do know that you should consider joining my Patreon to get early access to videos. Stay tuned for more Nuzlocke content, and until then, remember to always, always, always play around the critical hit.